From LALATE News Headquarters in Santa Monica, this is Mornings LALATE.
It's a big morning of Mornings LA with huge news with a major corporation getting a different pivot from Wall Street. What does that mean? They're looking at the recession, the earnings, and what you need to know. And we'll be looking at that in today's recording. A major week underway, and we're going to go over why that inflationary print of this week signaled the raise of your benefits. A lot of inflation, and it's not peaked. We'll go over the latest details today. A series of new numbers released a minute ago, and what you need to know. Of course, that forced stimulus check in every U.S. state. You want to get that forced stimulus check in every U.S. state, about $100,000, and viewers are doing so well with it. We'll go over why they're doing so well and how you can do it across the board. Additionally, $100,000, it's big money, and we're going to go over all those incredible details in today's recording. But a major series of new reports coming in just minutes ago, and we'll feature them on this recording today. This is major news, and it's sort of like a cafeteria with the side dishes. You show up, you like the main course. Well, this main course was the CPI and the PPI print this week, but there's some side courses that come in this morning, and their deliciousness. First, top economists are now signaling new guidance on whether the economy is going to shrink dramatically later this year. All the breaking news on Mornings, live on air this August 12th. New indications about where inflation is going for those economists as well. Consumer confidence came in, and did consumers look a little more confident today? You feel less confident when you put lobster shorts on. We know that. We'll have the latest details on their numbers. Then we'll be looking at whether stocks are up and whether certain companies are going to be able to survive a downward spiraling economy. And those companies, we have breaking news, are Apple and Walmart. We'll go over why analysts are saying it's a two-split economy, a bifurcated economy, and what you need to know for your money. Pivot. Have you ever pivoted on the dance floor? Well, today we talk about the pivot of the Federal Reserve, whether they're going to likely to pivot, and also the impact of it on your money. Plus, we'll go over the latest details of what to see this weekend, because we have a lot of breaking news this weekend as well. From the shores of Santa Monica, California, it's a big show, and there's a lot here. Of course, the bacon's missing. I mean, what else is ever new on this channel? But the great news heats up right here, right now, is a big broadcast for a beautiful August 12th. Goes live on air. It's Mornings LA, starting right now. And good morning, everybody. Hope you're having a beautiful day. It's August 12th, 2022, and the big week is certainly far from over. As two major companies get a big guidance, they're Walmart and they're Apple. And what do we have on them today? You're going to see the latest details on that, whether an earnings recession is striking them as well. Plus, we'll be looking back at those numbers for inflation, and another inflationary number released minutes ago. Boy, has inflation peaked? Well, the latest you need to know, and why that raises your benefits so much. Plus, we'll be looking at the incredible news of those stimulus, that big stimulus, and what's at issue. And a major report issued minutes ago that the largest issue later this year for Americans and their finances may be the rent and the utilities. Well, that's what we do really well on this channel, and we go over all those incredible sums of money in the big second half. Stay with me, join this channel, and get ready for those big checks in the big second half. Of course, about $100,000 of them. But let's go right into the breaking news starting today. The big week that there was is far from over. And we got a lot of new data coming in just the last few minutes. It's not monster data like CPI and PPI print this week, but it's a lot of side dishes, and when you put it together, it's deliciousness. Let's look at that major side dishes being served up this morning for August 12th, 2022. Top economists are now lowering guidance on the growth of this economy for later this year. The survey of professional forecasters developed their latest detail for the Philadelphia Federal Reserve, and they're signaling that the economy will not grow that much later this year. They had initially put it at 2.5% GDP growth, but they're putting it at 1.4%. You may say, but that's a positive number, LA. Shouldn't be a negative number. It's a recession. No, that's just an overall approach to the situation. They're cutting the growth of the U.S. economy. Wow. Now, on the other side, they're saying inflation is going to still track higher. I'll have more about that late in this recording. Consumer confidence. Are you confident? How do you feel this morning? Pretty confident? Are you starting your Friday confident? Well, the University of Michigan's Consumer Index preliminary August reading for consumer confidence actually rose a little bit higher than expected. Came in at a 55.1 compared to a 52.5 predicted. What do I know about that? Nothing. That means nothing to me. Does it mean anything to you? No. Sometimes you look at these numbers like, what does that mean? Instead of being confident at 52.5, you're confident at 55.1. I don't know what that means. In fact, the report doesn't even say what it means. They're just a little bit more confident. I know why they're more confident. They did not show up to work in Kentucky wearing lobster shorts today. It's one of those reports that doesn't mean a lot unless you understand the situation at hand. But the individuals, when polled by the University of Michigan, believe that inflation may be pulling back a little bit. But what do they know? We'll have the latest details on that later in this recording. Where is the big shockers? The big shockers today are Walmart and Apple. And you may not shop at Walmart and you may not own an iPhone, but it impacts you. And this is earnings recession like no one saw coming. If you've been with this channel since the month of May this year, then you know that the implosion of the market started in May when Walmart guided downward. We did a lot those 2 weeks. I was in the live chat with you. We can do it right now again. Do you see less or more employees at the checkout in Walmart? Do you see less people helping you with checkout? Some people said no one anymore. Do you see less people being hired in Walmart, more or less? Jump on the live chat road right now. We haven't asked that question in almost a month. But when we asked it back in the month of May, most people saying dramatic cutback. Now, this is where it gets interesting. Will that be that way for later this year? No, says Morgan Stanley. In a major report released a minute ago obtained by LALATE News, they're now switching Walmart to a buy rating and a price target of 145. They believe that the downgrades of Walmart have been overblown. Interesting. Now, Walmart, of course, is not Bloomingdale's or Nordstrom. They're lower end of the market. So they're saying that the impact of this economy is overblown for purposes of Walmart. Really interesting. I'm going to go out of order because I'm going to give you something on the other side of the consumer spectrum, and it's getting a similar analysis today as well. It's Apple. Yes, Apple. A new report out minutes ago says by this analysis company, not me, but the company that released it, that they believe the sale of iPhones later this year for 2022 will be the same as the prior year, 2021. This is a shocker. This is a real shocker. So you may say, wait a second. Recession, inflation, labor problems, housing problems. People are not going to be spending $1,000 on a cell phone again this Christmas. Oh, yes, they are, says the report. Not me. Not me. I don't spend $1,000 on a cell phone. Do you spend $1,000 on a cell phone? Jump in the live chat. Do you spend $1,000 on bacon? Well, then don't mention it to me because I'm going to be very angry. The report says that Apple's sales could be as strong and robust by the end of this year as they were in last year, especially for those iPhones. Incredible. Now, this is as the stock of Apple has been down 5% year to date, but it is on a rally of 30% up since the month of June. We're going to go over this right now. Let me go over the importance of this. Recession, inflation, labor problems. At issue is we're seeing a lot of analysis right now, and I subscribe to it, where some companies like an Apple that have hundreds of millions of dollars, billions of dollars of cash on hand, will be able to survive a recession. And that small companies, even publicly traded companies, are very small, don't have a lot of cash on hand, will likely go under. What does this mean for you? A very bifurcated economy with two different types of industries. Some industries will fall apart. Other industries will be able to survive. We'll have more about this later in this recording. Now, you saw earlier in this recording where I said the data is showing that inflation is not peaked. And we saw that this week. When this week we had the CPI print released on Wednesday and the PPI print released on Thursday, signaling that inflation pulled back, cooled a little bit, less than half a percentage point. And this is big news for your benefits. Why? Because your benefits are going to go up a lot. Lynn Clyde, a longtime viewer, said, I hope my benefits go up. You don't have to hope, Lynn. It's absolutely happening. We're going to go over why this is happening, starting with the inflationary situation today for August 12th. Then we'll go over the impact of your benefits. Then we'll go over the calculation. And then we'll go over the hard money, how much your benefits are going to go up. First, inflation. What have we learned about inflation this week? We learned this week that inflation has really not pulled back. It has peaked. That was my breaking news report yesterday, August 11th. Peaked in the sense of the headline number, the marquee number, is coming off a little bit, but not that much, about a half a percentage point. But when you look at the core parts that determine inflation, they're actually going up month to month. A new report released minutes ago, and it's biggie, says the major problem with this U.S. economy later this year, or already right now, but it's going to be worse, is rent. Rent and your dwelling, whether you rent, you own, your mortgage, or your utility bills, they say exactly what we've been talking this week. We learned on Wednesday that shelter, which is rent, comprises 30% of the inflationary numbers, especially CPI. And those landlords got the big rent prices in May and signed you for a one-year lease, some of you a month-to-month lease. They're not cutting the rent prices. The report says that there's a shortage of rental spaces, so the landlords can do it. Occupancies are at big numbers, and landlords are not cutting the rent. And now, if you have a mortgage as a flexible, adjustable rate mortgage, my goodness, there's big trouble for you because the Federal Reserve keeps on raising rates. People could not afford to live. And when we talk about the utilities, the utility bills are high right now. They're going to go higher. We'll have more about that later in this recording. So this is big news when we talk about inflation. Has inflation peaked at the top line number? Yes. And we go into the core numbers, no. Rent is up month to month. We learned this week that your products you buy in the store, like milk and eggs, are still going up month to month. And the reason why inflation at the top line number peaked this week is because gasoline has come down. The price of gasoline today, August 12th, 2022, is the lowest number on this channel since February. Lowest number since February, far before when Putin invaded Ukraine. Why? A lot of reasons. First, basically, the increased production. Number two, the oil traders are betting on a recession. But what they're saying today, what they've been saying this week, is that whatever those prices you see for gasoline right now, they're not staying this low consistently. They're not going to go back. They're going to go back up. Why? Because they cannot maintain this production capacity. Number two, as you go into early fall, you have refineries that go offline when you have inclement events like hurricanes and tornadoes. And number three, when we have those shortages of fuel, because you're heating the home more in the fall with inclement bad weather, then the prices go up. So if you think about that, that means that the number that got inflation down this week is not going to stay it down. And if you think about the rent, the landlords, and utilities going up in the next few weeks, then there's no reason to believe that inflation in the core components is going down a lot. And that is big news for your benefits. Why? Because as inflation tracks higher, your benefits track higher. It started in the month of May as that inflationary print rose dramatically. Back in the month of May, the CPI was at 8.6. What did it do? It went to 9.1 in June. And this week, we got the July print on Wednesday. And that July print was only about a half basis point down. This is great news for your benefits because why? Your benefits are going to go up a lot. Why? Because inflation may have peaked, but it's relatively still flat. And we need 2 more months of data. The first month we got this Wednesday. The next month we get a month from this Wednesday. And then the month after that, we get it in September. And we need 3 more months. Let's go over why this happens, and then we'll go over the calculation of how much. Your benefits are tied to something called COLA, cost of living adjustment. And it's determined by 3 months of data. The CPI released this last Wednesday. That remained relatively flat compared to the month before, really high. And then 2 more months. The month of August released in September, the month of September released in October. And what we've known since the month of June is that if inflation remains basically flat where it is at this astronomical, through-the-roof number we've never seen of our generation, your benefits are going up a lot. Let's say how much this benefit raises. It's the biggest stimulus I'll ever have for you on this channel. It's the biggest stimulus check I'll ever have for you on this channel. Why? Because your benefits are going up, the highest lift of a generation, and you're not going to just get that lift one time. It'll be for the rest of your lifetime. Let's go over why. Once your benefits go up, they never go down. So the check you're getting in the mail or direct deposit right now, you'll never see again. after this rise happens. This rise will be your new amount until you get another lift next year. And let's say inflation next year is 2% or 3%. You'll get another lift on top of this lift. This is astronomical. This is grounds for celebration. Now let's go over how it works, and let's go over the calculation. First, how it works. We need to see 3 more months of data basically flat. I think we are pretty much believing that's going to happen unless some really big shocker comes in. Will be $5,000. Some of you will be more, some of you will be less, some of you will be on the money. Direct deposit, otherwise the mail. You don't have to do anything for this. This is you, all your beneficiaries, multiple. If you're about to go on benefits, all of you. And yes, an incredible lift. Is everyone 5,000? Some of you will be less, some of you will be more, but you'll all have the same percentage raise across the board. So what is the percentage raise? Well, the Social Security group released their analysis, it's just analysis, when that CPI print came out on Wednesday. Let's remember these two numbers. And when you hear them, you may want to put them down the worksheet or take them on a separate piece of paper and put them on the worksheet later today, because these are important numbers to remember. The CPI released this Wednesday was about an 8.5%. Based upon the CPI at 8.5, this group said your benefits are going to go up about 10.1. So write those two numbers. CPI 8.5, your benefits are going up 10.1. That's their analysis. Doesn't mean it's absolutely going to happen. What's my analysis? I can do this with you. You can do this as well. If you believe that the gasoline will track back up higher because of what happens in the fall, if you believe that utilities are going to track up higher because of what happens when it gets colder, if you believe that milk and egg has really not gone down that much month to month, and if you believe that the rent is going to stay as hot as it is right now, or actually maybe goes worse, actually, the rent, then you believe that inflation is going to stay the same. And if you believe inflation is going to stay the same, then you may subscribe to a 10.1% raise. Maybe you think it's going to be even more. I'm thinking it's going to be about the same. So this is absolutely incredible news for you across the board. That's why you have to become a member. Go right in this video and become a member. Purple Hawk, Purple Power, Calcium VIP. Why? Because if inflation is going to be with us for a while, you got to be able to afford to live. And the details featured on this channel from those Fed governors, Daly, Boulard, all say that inflation is going to be pervasive at this point. I think it is. Last year, I was the only financial broadcaster to say we're going to have 8% inflation by December 2021. It was not going to go away. And I said that the Federal Reserve is not going to get inflation down to their price target of 2%. I said they'd likely get it to 4%. Today, I'm not saying that anymore. Today, it doesn't look like the Federal Reserve is ever going to get inflation down to 4% later this year. I think they're going to have problems getting it to 6%. Even 6% is a lot for you to endure in your bills. 6% for your milk, 6% up, that's a lot of money. 6% for your butter, 6% for your coffee, that's a lot to endure. And that's why you have to get that fourth stimulus check in every U.S. state. How do you get it? Become a member. Go run this video, become a member. Purple Hawk, Purple Power, Casino VIP. And stay with me over the second half. We're going to go over these incredible checks one at a time. But let's go over an overview of those incredible checks, starting right now. What are they? They are federal stimulus done by executive action, passed in the month of March by the President of the United States, and you go get them. About $100,000, you qualify. Single individual, $75,000 or less, go get it. Married couple, $150,000 or less, go get it. And if you rent, if you're on benefits, if you're not on benefits, if you're young, if you're old, ahead on bills, not ahead on bills, go get them. It's a lot of money, and you deserve that money. And you want to get that money. How do you do it? You go under this video and become a member, Purple Hawk, Purple Power, Calcino VIP. Join the channel and stay with me over the big second half. We're going to go over these checks. How do you get them? You go into the membership newsletter and get them Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, via the YouTube alerts. One of the benefits of the membership is, of course, the newsletter. And in the newsletter, at the third line, is the worksheets. Someone yesterday said, where is the worksheets? The third line in the newsletter. Where in the newsletter? The third line. Where in the newsletter? The third line. I think it's like a trick question. And you go open the newsletter and it's like the third line. Okay, I got it. Can you say it again? It's at the third line. Let's go. Oh, those incredible worksheets. Here are the worksheets. It's a PDF you can print from your cell phone and computer. You go into those world worksheets. Why are they so wonderful? Because people are getting a lot of money because they're very helpful. Plus, they have a lot of assistance for you keeping track of this economy because it's a very, very confused economy. Let's go over what we learned today for you to pencil into the worksheets. Page 1, inflation. Well, inflation has peaked for the headline number, the title, the CPI, the 8.5%. But when you jump into the butter and the rent and the food and the energy, the utilities, it's still going up. And that's why it's great news for your benefits, because if overall it's a flat number, your benefits go up a lot. Recession. Tonight on afternoons and certainly on evenings, we're going to go over that recession, which is really crippling the analysis. But you're going to see, especially in this recording, how certain companies like an Apple or Walmart will be able to endure a recession because they have a lot of cash on hand. But small businesses, even small publicly traded businesses, may go under because they will not be able to survive the downward spiral of this economy. Labor. I haven't done that yet in this recording. 262,000 jobless claims yesterday. That's the highest number of jobless claims of 2022. It's straight up. It hasn't gone down. It's gone up, 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 up every week. But on the other side, the unemployment number is the lowest number since 1969. How could that possibly be? I'll analyze that on afternoons today at 3 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. Federal Reserve. Actually, not me, LALATE.com, the website that started nearly 20 years ago, put out a new article last night. You can read it on the website. It's a great article. And it basically says LA is now predicting that the Federal Reserve is going to do 75 basis points in September as their interest rates spike. That's been their interest rate spike in July and June. And that they're going to stay with 75 for a long time. No one else is saying that. No one else would dare say that. They're saying, they initially want to say 50 basis points. Those people. You know who they are. Those people. And then they said, that's done with the Federal Reserve. No, not happening. And that is actually the topic of an article out today. And that article out today is the pivot. Do you pivot? Do you pivot? I do when I'm doing a pair dance. When I'm pivoting when I'm doing a pair dance. Do you pivot? Well, eye-watering, pivoting. There's a lot of great quotes coming up on afternoons today. They're not from me. What is the pivot? The concept of a pivot is the concept that the Federal Reserve will just stop what they're doing and do something different. No, it's a company routine. They don't pivot. Citibank issued a statement today that said, stop saying the Federal Reserve is going to stop doing what they're doing with those interest rate spikes. They're not going to pivot off of them because inflation's not down considerably. Considerably is a 4% or a 5% inflationary rate. We're still at 8.5. And Citibank says, stop saying there's a pivot. I can't pivot. I'm not, I don't say I have 2 left feet, but I don't know how to rumba. Does this feel like Dancing with the Stars early in the morning? It should. Len, give me a 3.0 for my Federal Reserve pivot today. Let's go to the next page of the worksheets. The next page of the worksheets is the one that's getting people big money. So one viewer got 14 checks for rent. Another viewer got 12 months of rent of utilities. Another viewer got 10 months of rent, and that's just in the last 7 days. Spelly got check A, check C's. And how are they doing this with this worksheet, the second page? It's a page for you to keep track of the checks you've applied for, because you're going to apply for a lot of checks. The big second half of this recording, I'm going to hit it very hard because I haven't hit it as hard as I should in recent days. There's a lot of checks in the newsletter. There's not 3 checks. There's not 1 check. There's a lot of checks, and you qualify for them. And I'm going to show you those big checks in the big second half. One viewer got 80 checks from this page. She's in Florida. She applied for check B. She forgot she applied. She forgot she had the worksheets. And she had put it on the worksheets. She forgot to look at the worksheets. And what happened when she looked at the worksheets? Well, she got that email from the state of Florida. It said, ma'am, you've been approved for checks B. Wow, great news. What did she get? Her mortgage. Incredible. How many months? 18 months. 18 months. Yeah, she also got her utilities. Her utilities, how many months? 18 months. 4 utilities plus mortgage, that's 18 times 4. That's 80 checks. 80 checks by being a member? Yes, folks. 80 checks to 100 checks by becoming a member. That's not $80,000. That's a lot of money. The next page of the worksheets are going to be gone over on evenings or afternoons today. They are gasoline and student loan debt forgiveness. This, my friends, is why I had to become a member. you get these big sums of money like Lorraine has gotten big sums of money. That's not even where she is right now. She's at over 150,000. We're going to go over all these incredible big checks in the big second half. I'll go over how you do this, what's at issue, how it works, and why you need to do it, because a recession is underway and inflation is going to be pervasive. We'll go over all these incredible monies. Step one, go under this video and join the channel. Do it right now. Go under this video where it says join the channel, become a member. Then get that membership newsletter delivered Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And stay with me over the big second half. We're going to go over all these incredible checks. And we'll have a preview of what's coming up on afternoons with that recessionary concerns. But first, here's a little bit about the community page. See you back in 60 seconds.
If you want money right now, not 5 days from now, and not 5 weeks from now, then reach out to the community page. The volunteers can help you find that money for rent and utilities. That's at news.la.com/community. The community page features a series of volunteers who are viewers like you. They can help you find rent, utilities, SNAP, food benefits, mortgage assistance, and help you with eviction moratorium questions as well. Their Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram individuals reach out to them and indicate the city and state you're from, and they'll get back to you shortly. That's a community page. Volunteers working for you, viewers helping one another. Stay with LA for more. Join LALATE Daily for the excitement of the new LALATE live daily. The excitement starts on Mornings LALATE at 9 a.m. Home LALATE returns at 11 a.m. daily. And then afternoons LALATE at 1 p.m. Join us daily as the excitement continues live from Santa Monica on LALATE.
And the big excitement continues right now in the big second half of a beautiful morning. It's gorgeous here along the coast in Santa Monica. Cooled down, thank goodness. This weekend we have a lot of breaking news, and you want to stay here. Make sure you become a member. Purple Hawk, Purple Power, Calcium VIP. We'll be going over more data, especially that housing data that came in minutes ago. It is shocking. And that housing data basically says that rent is out of control in the United States. Utilities is out of control. And these are the basic things that I've been getting people a lot of money since day one. Day one, I got people rent. Tonight, I'm getting people rent. Rent and utilities remains one of the most pervasive bills you have in the home. The rent, the mortgage, the water, the electric, the heating oil. And I got to tell you, it doesn't look like that number is going down. It looks like that number is going straight up. The data today, on the case that the rent is going up, the data today signals that the utility bills you're having later this year are absolutely going through the roof, and that's why you have to become a member. And we've been doing these checks for a long time. You can do it. I have full confidence in you. We're going to go over those incredible sums of money starting right now. First, back in the month of March, viewers said, can you find me some checks? And I found these checks. I've been getting these checks for a long time. I had a dual mandate. First, that they're big sums of money, not a couple $100s. If you want big sums of money, you got to put the effort in. You got to learn to earn. About $100,000, because it's 2 years of recession. You got to have a lot of money to survive this recession. Number two, broad eligibility. Single individual, 75,000 less, go get it. Married couple, 150,000 less, go get it. Rent, own, on benefits, not on benefits, ahead on bills, behind on bills. One of the messages I want to hit really hard today is that this is money from the federal government. This is federal stimulus. This is not from your state. This is not from your state. So don't pick up the phone and start calling your state asking for a wad of cash. It's not from them. They don't have it. This is from the federal government and from the nonprofits, and I feature it in the newsletter. There's no other way to do it, but specifically the way detailed. And I want to put it together a simple way for you. It's the newsletter. I've done it in different ways over the last few years, but the newsletter has been the big success story because it's so organized for you. Go down and go get those sums of money. And let's do it right now together. Let's go over those incredible checks. Check A, check B, check C. We're going to go over each of them starting right now. The very first check is a wonderful check A. It's a $6,500 to $12,000 forced stimulus check in every U.S. state. An incredible check is needed because we have big economic issues at hand. And then Credible Check A is just so wonderful. $6,500 to $12,000 for stimulus check in every U.S. state. Single individual, $75,000 less, go get it. Married couple, $150,000 less, go get it. And if you rent, if you own, if you're on benefits, if you're not on benefits, go get it as well. Let's look at that Incredible Check A right now. Here it is, $6,500 to $12,000. How do you get that Check A? Step one, become a member. Join this channel. Go right in this video, join this channel. Then go down to the membership newsletter, delivered to you Monday through Friday. Check A is an online website. No one likes online applications more than viewers of this channel because you just click and push buttons. Click the link, you go right into the Nationwide website, choose your state, you go right into your state website, and go choose the Weatherizing grant. And that's the grant that Spelly got. He got great sums of money for Check A this week. You're not done there yet. In addition to Check A, you're going to go get Check B. Again, another online website. People love online websites. You don't have to call anyone. And you can do them on the weekend. That's why it's so great. Check B, $15,000 to $80,000. You become a member. And welcome to all the wonderful new members who joined this channel this week. Hundreds of new members daily, returning members, and then upgrade members. You want to stay a member and continue to be a member because there's so many checks. And you want to continue to get checks. We'll go over the importance of continuing to get checks in the big second half. Go down to where you see Check B. Click the link, you go right in, apply, choose your state, and then you rock and roll. That's a check that the viewer got 80 checks. If you want $100,000 of checks or $80,000 of checks, you got to put the effort in. There's an effort to get paid these sums of money, and you can do it because people have been doing it on this channel for a long time. And look at the great sums of money right there. That is $80,000. For some it's even more. That's $12,000. That's $100,000. You're going to go get Check C. This is the check that's likely to be the game changer. And this is the check that people are going to be coming in on looking for it later this year. As the rent goes higher, as the utilities goes higher, this is the check you're going to really want to get right now. Get ahead of the ball game before they come on looking for these checks later this year. It's for rent, utilities, mortgages, and some more. How do you get it? Step one, become a member. Go right into this membership, join this channel, go down to the membership newsletter where it says Check C and tells you who to call, what to say, and how to say it. One of the messages I hit really hard on afternoons today, because it's important to remember, is for Check C, there's a lot of checks. All these checks, there's a lot of checks. So for Check C, you have 6 government agencies. You have 6 nonprofits. That's 12 places to reach out to. Let's say you have 4 utility bills, water, heating, telephone. That's a lot of places for 1 month for checks. And then you got a lot of months. You got a lot of months. A lot of viewers are getting 18 months of checks. So that's a lot of checks. Let's say you got a water bill paid by this channel today. It's not one and done. It's not one and done because you can get a lot more checks and you need to get a lot more checks. And that's why those worksheets are so helpful across the board. Here are people who have stayed on message and continue to get those big checks over and over again. They are the Lorraines, the Margarets, the Nancy, the Johnnies. They get checks. They go back and get more checks because the bills continue to rise. And the benefit of the news of the worksheets is you want to keep those contacts. Jesse at extension 251, Margaret at extension 291, Cynthia at extension 245, because you're going to be calling them back up and asking for more money later this year. And when the bills are actually higher, potentially, heating and all things like that. Here's some numbers for rent. Incredible. Go get Check C. Here's some numbers for utilities, and they're even higher ones. Here's some numbers for SNAP. Here's some numbers for combinations. And those numbers have grown dramatically since then. Nisi is at 50,000, Mark's at 166,000. Lorraine is at 155,000. The numbers keep on growing left and right. That's why you want to become a member, because these are bills that you need to get paid, and you need to establish those relationships for those bills now with those payors, whoever you get on the phone or you apply online, because you'll be asking for more money thereafter. Remember, this is not from your state. This is from the federal government, and it's enormous sums of money. There is no other stimulus except this stimulus. And with that, let's go over the other breaking news that you need to know on this beautiful end of the week as we go into a big weekend where there's a lot more stories hitting left and right. A new report out today, which is just analysis, but it's very fascinating, talks about a sort of a bifurcated economy where some businesses will be able to survive a recession and runaway inflation and others won't. At the moment, most analysts are now in an agreement that inflation is not going away. So that is clearly a new development. They now believe that inflation is staying here for a while. Inflation cannot stay for a while in an economy, and it's been here for a year, well, 8 months, because you can't afford milk and eggs up 30% indefinitely. It erodes at your savings, and it causes you to spend stuff on credit card. And then you don't have the ability to pay off the credit card because the debt is going higher, because the interest rate on the credit card is going higher. And so inflation pervasive into next year, which I've been saying for a long time will be happening, is no bueno for you. Now, when we look at recession, that's a totally different story than inflation. Inflation is one economic story. Recession is another economic story. Analysts are in disagreement whether there will be a recession or not a recession. I'm in the camp that says there is a recession right now. It's going to be more pervasive, more pronounced. The inversion curve that's an indication of recession is less inverted, but still there. The bond traders still believe that a recession is upon us and will be long felt. My analysis is the following, that the Federal Reserve is going to come in with those interest rate spikes, 75, 75, 75, because they have not got inflation down. They say they have to get inflation down. They will try to get inflation down. And they need to get it down to 4%. And if they don't get it down to 4%, they're going to get hit really hard. There's no reason to think they're going to pivot to something like a smaller interest rate spike. There's no reason to believe that. Why would you believe that? That's like believing that bacon is going to be on set tomorrow. There's no reason to believe that. So the Federal Reserve is going to hit it really hard. If they hit it really hard, then what happens? Some businesses will go under because they cannot afford the debt because the interest rates are through the roof. The economy was slow and there'll be big problems. Guess what happens with labor? Labor falls apart later in a downward spiraling economy. It doesn't fall apart at the beginning. And yet some parts of the economy won't be hurt. You see the reports out today. Some guy in South Florida on Singer Island buying a home for the largest record sum in a long time. It's happening in Los Angeles. You know, homes that were $5 million are going for $35 million. I mean, just massive changes in less than 12 months. But that's not the whole swath of the economy. Yes, Apple may be selling as many iPhones this Christmas as it sold last year. And yes, Walmart may not be guiding down as much as we thought, but there's a lot going on out there. Back to school sales are about to get underway. We're going to see that data. And ultimately what you need to know is you have to err on caution. You got to put that effort in with a capital E. You got to know where this economy is with that inflation and that recession. And you have to assume that the data is so conflicting, because it is, that ultimately there can be a lot of different analysis and not all the analysis can be accurate. Not all the analysis can be right. Not my analysis may be wrong. My predictions may be wrong. So far they haven't. But ultimately, there's a lot of moving parts, and you can't bet upon economy or predict or say that absolutely something's going to happen. Like those people who say there's definitely going to be a pivot by the Federal Reserve. Why can they say that? There's no reason to bet on that. And if you've not embedded the risk into the stock market, embedded the risk into your livelihood, that there will be no Fed pivot, then guess what happens? When there is no Fed pivot, you're not ready for the lack of a pivot. And you need to tango, because it takes two to tango. How many does it take to rumba? I think it takes at least two to rumba. How many does it take to pair dance? Just one, just me. That's why there's so much to know on a given day, and that's why I love you so much. You understand that the importance of being a member is far more than just that. The price of gasoline is the lowest number since February. It's in the membership newsletter tonight. The price of corn and wheat has fallen dramatically. It's in the membership newsletter tonight. The worksheets are going to help you guide you through the inflationary and recessionary pressures and the other issues you need to know. So much to know on a given day and so little time to deliver it. That's why I got more shows coming up. Coming up next is Noontime. This video will automatically take you there, and then jump into the live show that'll pick up on this channel if you're not watching already. And then we have a brand new show of afternoons at 3 o'clock as well today. From the shores of Santa Monica, California, God bless. Thank you for joining me again on this beautiful day. And the news continues throughout the day on LALATE. Stay informed, stay focused, and stay with LA for more.